What happens when a respected Hollywood actor walks onto a daytime talk show expecting a routine promotional interview, and instead finds himself in a conversation that quickly turns tense, personal, and unexpectedly cold? Make sure to subscribe to Talk Show Fallout, and like and comment for more talk show coverage. So, Ryan, welcome, Sunny says with a practiced smile, leaning slightly forward at the table. Her tone is warm on the surface, but there's a sharpness underneath it that regular viewers immediately recognize. The audience claps as Ryan Gosling gives a small nod, offering a polite smile. "Thank you for having me," Ryan replies calmly, adjusting slightly in his chair. Joy jumps in quickly, keeping the energy light at first. "We're very excited you're here. The new film is getting a lot of buzz. Congratulations." "Thank you," Ryan says again, short and measured. There's a brief pause, not awkward but noticeable. Whoopi looks over her glasses, reading the room the way she always does. "So tell us a little bit about the film. What pulled you into this one?" Ryan shifts slightly, crossing one leg over the other. "I think it was the character. It felt grounded. Real. Not trying too hard to be anything else." Sunny nods, but her expression changes just a little. "You say real. That's interesting because a lot of people online are saying the film avoids addressing certain real-world issues." There's a subtle murmur from the audience. Ryan doesn't react immediately. He just looks at Sunny, calm, composed. "I don't think every film has to address everything," he says simply. Sunny tilts her head. "But don't you think, as someone with your platform, there's a responsibility to reflect what's actually happening in the world?" Ryan pauses. Not long, but long enough that it feels intentional. "I think there are a lot of ways to reflect the world," he replies. "Not all of them have to be direct." Joy glances at Whoopi, sensing the shift. "Well, sometimes people just want to be entertained too, right?" "Of course," Sunny responds quickly. "But we're also in a time where silence can be seen as a statement." The audience reacts again, a mix of soft claps and murmurs. Ryan leans back slightly, still composed. "I don't see storytelling as silence," he says. "I see it as interpretation." Sunny doesn't smile this time. But interpretation can also be avoidance. That lands heavier. There's a brief silence at the table. Even Whoopi raises her eyebrows slightly. Ryan's expression doesn't change much, but his tone becomes a little firmer. "I disagree." Sunny leans in. "So you don't think there's any obligation?" "I think there's a responsibility to be honest," Ryan says. But honesty doesn't look the same for everyone. A few audience members clap. Others stay quiet. Alyssa jumps in, trying to ease things. "I think what Ryan's saying is that art can be subjective." Sunny cuts in, not aggressively but firmly. "I understand that. I'm just asking where the line is." Ryan turns his head slightly toward her. "I don't think there is a line. I think there are choices." That answer feels colder than anything he's said so far. Not rude, but very clear. Sunny sits back for a moment, studying him. "That's interesting," she says. "Because a lot of people would say that's a privilege, to not see a line." The audience reacts louder this time. A mix of oohs and scattered applause. Joy exhales softly. "All right, here we go." Whoopi steps in, her voice calm but grounding. "Let's not jump on each other. We're having a conversation." "I'm not jumping," Sunny says, still looking at Ryan. "I'm asking." Ryan nods slightly. "And I'm answering." There's a beat. Sunny folds her hands on the table. "Okay, then let me ask it this way. When you choose roles, do you ever think about the message it sends?" Ryan doesn't hesitate this time. No, that answer hits immediately. The audience reacts, louder, more surprised. Joy turns her head quickly toward him. "No." Ryan shakes his head slightly. "I think about the story, the people involved, whether it feels honest to me. But I don't sit there thinking about what message it's supposed to send." Sunny raises her eyebrows. "That's very direct." Ryan gives a small shrug. "You asked." A few people in the audience laugh nervously. Alyssa tries to soften it again. "I think that's actually more common than people realize," Sunny interrupts again, though still controlled. "But do you understand why that might frustrate people watching?" Ryan looks at her for a moment before answering. "I understand that people want things from artists. And you don't feel any obligation to give that to them?" Sunny presses. Ryan's response is immediate this time. No, the word lands heavier than anything before it. There's a noticeable shift in the room. The audience quiets down, sensing that this isn't just a casual debate anymore. Joy leans back slightly, looking between them. "Okay, this is getting interesting." Whoopi gives a small nod. "It is." But let's keep it respectful. Sunny nods as well, but she doesn't back off. I am being respectful. I just think it's important to understand where people stand. Ryan's voice stays calm, but there's a slight edge now. And I think it's important to let people stand where they stand without telling them where they should be. That line gets a reaction, a louder one. Some clapping, some murmurs. Sunny pauses. For the first time, she doesn't respond immediately. Joy glances at Whoopi again. Well, we're definitely not talking about just the movie anymore. Whoopi gives a small half smile. That happens sometimes. The tension sits there, not explosive, but very real. Ryan adjusts slightly in his seat again, his posture still relaxed, but his expression more closed off now. Sunny finally speaks again, her tone slightly calmer but still firm. I hear you. I just think conversations like this matter. Ryan nods once. They do. But they also require accountability, she adds. Ryan looks at her, steady. They require honesty. Another pause. The audience is completely quiet now. And for a moment, it feels like neither of them is going to move. Then Whoopi steps in again, clapping her hands once lightly. All right, we're going to take a quick break before this turns into a full courtroom situation. The audience laughs, some relieved, some still tense. As the cameras begin to pull back slightly, you can still see Sunny and Ryan sitting there, neither looking away first. And the energy at the table has completely changed. The audience is still buzzing as the show comes back from break, that low hum of conversation you only hear when something real just happened. The smiles are still there on camera, but they're tighter now. More controlled. Whoopi looks into the camera first, resetting the tone. Welcome back. We're here with Ryan Gosling, and clearly we've got a lot to talk about. A few laughs from the audience, but they're cautious. Joy leans in slightly. Yeah, that break was interesting. Sunny gives a small smile, but it doesn't fully land. I think it's good. These conversations matter. Ryan nods once, calm as ever. I agree. There's a pause, like everyone is deciding how to step back into this without immediately going right back into the tension. Alyssa tries to steer things gently. So, Ryan, before the break we were talking about responsibility in storytelling. I want to shift it just a little. When you're choosing roles, is it more instinct or strategy? Ryan turns toward her, clearly more comfortable with the question. It's instinct. Always instinct. And has that ever backfired? She asks. He gives a slight smile. Yeah, plenty of times. The audience laughs lightly, easing the mood for a second. Joy jumps in. Can you give us one example? Or is that classified? Ryan shakes his head. No, I just think sometimes you think something will connect, and it doesn't. Or you think people will see it one way, and they see it completely differently. Sunny watches him closely. But doesn't that prove the point? That interpretation matters, and that maybe you should consider it more. There it is again, not loud, not aggressive, but persistent. Ryan exhales softly through his nose, not annoyed exactly, but aware. I consider it after. I don't let it guide me before. Sunny leans forward slightly. Why not? Because then it stops being honest, Ryan replies. Joy looks between them. But what if your version of honesty affects people in a negative way? Ryan doesn't answer immediately this time. He takes a second. I think anything you put out into the world can affect people in different ways, he says. You can't control that. Sunny nods slowly. You can't control it, but you can anticipate it. Ryan's response is quick. You can try. And you don't try? She presses. Ryan meets her eyes directly. Not in the way you're suggesting. The audience reacts again, quieter this time, but still engaged. Whoopi shifts in her seat. Let me ask something, she says, stepping in before Sunny can continue. Do you think actors are being asked to carry more than they used to? Ryan nods. Yeah, I do. Why? Whoopi asks. Because everything is louder now, he says. Every opinion, every reaction, every expectation. It's all amplified. Alyssa nods. That's true. But that doesn't mean the responsibility isn't real, Sunny adds quickly. Ryan doesn't look away from Whoopi when he answers. I didn't say it wasn't real. Sunny picks up on that immediately. But you're choosing not to engage with it. Ryan finally turns back to her. No, I'm choosing how I engage with it. That distinction hangs in the air. Joy raises her eyebrows. Okay, that's a line right there. A few audience members clap. Sunny tilts her head slightly. Then explain that. Because from the outside, it looks like disengagement. Ryan's tone stays level, but there's a firmness now that wasn't there at the start of the show. Engaging doesn't mean doing what people expect you to do. Sunny responds almost immediately. It also doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. I'm not avoiding anything, Ryan says. Except answering directly, Sunny shoots back. That gets a louder reaction, a mix of, oh, and clapping. Joy leans back, half smiling. Okay, now we're really here. Ryan pauses. For the first time, there's a visible shift in his expression. Not anger, but something closer to frustration. I've answered every question you've asked, he says. Sunny doesn't back down. You've answered them carefully. Ryan nods slightly. Because they deserve careful answers. That line lands. Strong. The audience reacts, more clapping this time. Whoopi watches both of them closely, letting it play out just a little longer. Sunny folds her hands again. Let me ask you something more direct then. Ryan nods once. Go ahead. Do you believe celebrities have a moral responsibility to use their platform to speak on social issues? There's no noise now. The audience goes completely quiet. Ryan looks at her, steady. I think they have a choice, he says. Sunny doesn't blink. That's not what I asked. Ryan doesn't change his tone. That's my answer. A ripple goes through the audience. Joy quietly says, wow. Sunny leans back slightly, exhaling. So you won't say yes or no? Ryan shakes his head. Because it's not a yes or no question. Sunny's voice tightens just a bit. It can be. Ryan's response is immediate. Not for me. That's the coldest moment so far. No raised voices. No insults. Just a clear wall. Alyssa looks like she wants to jump in, but hesitates. Whoopi finally speaks. All right, let's take a breath. But Sunny isn't finished. I just think it's important for people watching to understand where you stand. Ryan nods. And I think they do. Sunny shakes her head slightly. I don't think they do. Ryan leans forward just a little. The first time he's moved toward the table instead of away from it. I think they understand that I'm not going to give them a simple answer to a complicated question, he says. The audience reacts again, louder now. Joy turns to Whoopi. He's not wrong. Sunny glances at Joy, then back at Ryan. Or maybe you just don't want to be held to one. Ryan doesn't hesitate. Or maybe I don't think it's helpful to pretend there is one. That hits. A mix of applause and tension fills the room. Whoopi raises her hand slightly. Okay, now we're at the point where everyone's making good points, and also talking in circles. A few laughs break the tension, but only slightly. Sunny sits back, crossing her arms loosely. I'm not talking in circles. Ryan gives a small, almost imperceptible smile. Neither am I. Joy laughs under her breath. This is something. Alyssa finally jumps in. Can I just say, I think what's happening here is actually what people want to see. Real conversation, even if it's uncomfortable. Sunny nods. I agree. Ryan nods too. So do I. But even in agreement, the distance between them is obvious. Whoopi looks out at the audience. Y'all are real quiet now. A voice from the audience calls out. We're listening. That gets a bigger laugh, breaking the tension for a second. Whoopi smiles. Good. Because this is one of those moments. She turns back to Ryan. Let me ask you this. Do you think conversations like this help, or do they just create more division? Ryan thinks for a second. I think they can do both, he says. And which one do you think this is doing right now? Whoopi asks. Ryan glances briefly at Sunny, then back at Whoopi. I think that depends on what people take from it. Sunny watches him, her expression unreadable now. And for a moment, the tension doesn't escalate. It just sits there, heavier than before, like everyone knows this isn't over yet. There's a brief silence after that last exchange, the kind that doesn't feel empty. It feels loaded. The audience is still, the hosts are watching each other, and Ryan sits there with the same composed posture. But now there's no mistaking the distance that's formed at the table. Whoopi leans back slightly, folding her hands. All right, I want to shift this just a little, because we've been circling around something bigger. Joy nods. Yeah, because now it's not even about the movie anymore. A few people in the audience chuckle, but it's light, almost cautious. Sunny glances toward Whoopi. I don't think it ever really was. Ryan looks down briefly, then back up. It usually isn't. That line gets a reaction. A mix of knowing laughter and quiet murmurs. Alyssa leans forward, trying again to bridge the gap. Ryan, can I ask you something a little more personal? Not political, not industry, just you. Ryan nods. Sure. When you hear criticism like this, she says carefully, gesturing slightly between Sunny and him, does it affect you? Or have you learned to separate yourself from it? Ryan takes a second. Not defensive, just thinking. I think you hear it, he says. You'd have to be, not paying attention not to hear it. A small laugh from the audience. But I don't think you can let it decide everything, he continues. Or you stop knowing why you're doing anything in the first place. Sunny listens closely, her expression softer now, but still focused. But isn't that a bit convenient? Ryan looks at her. How so? That you can hear criticism, acknowledge it, and then still choose to ignore it if it doesn't align with what you want, she says. Ryan shakes his head slightly. That's not ignoring it. What is it then? Sunny asks. It's deciding what matters to you, he answers. Sunny responds quickly. But what matters to you might not reflect what matters to everyone else. Ryan nods. Of course it doesn't. Then how do you justify that? She presses. Ryan pauses again. This time longer. I don't think I have to justify it, he says quietly. That lands harder than anything else so far. There's an audible reaction from the audience, a mix of surprise and tension. Joy's eyes widen slightly. Okay, that's. Whoopi lifts her hand a little, signaling to let it breathe. Sunny leans forward again, clearly locked in now. You don't think you have to justify your influence? Ryan keeps his tone even. I think influence is something people decide you have, not something you choose. Sunny doesn't look convinced. That sounds like avoiding accountability. Ryan's response is immediate. It's not. Sunny shakes her head. It feels like it is. Ryan leans back slightly again, returning to that more closed posture. That doesn't make it true. The audience reacts, louder this time. Some applause, some oohs. Joy glances at Alyssa. This is wow. Alyssa exhales quietly. Yeah. Whoopi steps in again, her tone steady. Let me jump in here, because I think we're getting into something that's actually bigger than both of you. She turns to the audience briefly. This is what people argue about at home, by the way. That gets a solid laugh, breaking the tension just a little. Whoopi looks back at Ryan. Do you think people project expectations onto you that you never agreed to? Ryan nods immediately. Yes. Sunny cuts in. But that comes with the territory. Ryan turns to her. Does it have to? Sunny doesn't hesitate. Yes. Ryan gives a small, almost incredulous smile. Why? Because you benefit from that attention, she says. You benefit from people caring about what you do, what you say, what you represent. Ryan nods slowly. I benefit from people watching my work. And the platform that comes with it, Sunny adds. Ryan pauses. That's a byproduct. Sunny's voice tightens slightly. It's a powerful byproduct. Ryan doesn't disagree. Sure. Then why not use it? She asks. Ryan looks at her for a moment before answering. Because I don't think using it the way you're describing is always helpful. Sunny raises her eyebrows. Speaking out on important issues isn't helpful? Ryan shakes his head. That's not what I said. Then what are you saying? She presses. Ryan exhales quietly. I'm saying that not every voice needs to speak on everything. The audience reacts again, some clapping, some murmurs of disagreement. Sunny leans back, crossing her arms again. That sounds like picking and choosing when it's convenient. Ryan tilts his head slightly. Or when it's meaningful. That line hits. Joy nods slowly. Okay, I get that. Sunny glances at Joy. But who decides what's meaningful? Ryan answers before Joy can. I do. Another reaction from the audience, louder this time. Sunny lets out a small breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. That's exactly the point. Ryan's tone stays calm, but there's no softness left in it now. It is the point. There's a pause. And then Sunny says something that shifts everything again. Do you think you're above criticism? The question hangs in the air. Ryan's expression doesn't change, but there's a noticeable stillness in him now. No, he says. Because it sounds like you are, Sunny replies. Ryan shakes his head slightly. I'm not above criticism. I just don't think I have to agree with it. The audience reacts, a mix of applause and tension. Alyssa nods. That's fair. Sunny looks at her briefly, then back at Ryan. But when a lot of people are saying the same thing, at what point do you stop and reconsider? Ryan answers calmly. When I think they're right. And you don't think they are? Sunny asks. Ryan's response is simple. Not always. That simplicity feels colder than anything else. Joy leans forward, almost trying to mediate. Can I ask, has there ever been a moment where public reaction actually changed your perspective? Ryan thinks for a second. Yeah, he says. Sunny immediately follows. Then why resist it now? Ryan looks at her. I'm not resisting it. It feels like you are, she says again. Ryan's voice stays level. That's your interpretation. The audience reacts, louder again. Whoopi exhales, shaking her head slightly with a half smile. This is one of those conversations where nobody's gonna win. A few laughs break out. Sunny doesn't laugh this time. It's not about winning. Ryan nods. I agree. Then what is it about? She asks. Ryan pauses. And for the first time, his answer feels a little more personal. It's about not being told who you're supposed to be, he says. That lands differently. The audience goes quiet, not tense this time, just listening. Sunny watches him closely. No one's telling you who to be. Ryan holds her gaze. It can feel like that. Sunny shakes her head slightly. Or it can feel like being challenged. Ryan nods. Those can look very similar. That line gets a strong reaction, applause, a few voices in agreement. Joy looks at Whoopi. That's actually very true. Whoopi nods slowly. Yeah, it is. Sunny doesn't respond right away this time. She studies him for a second, then finally says, I think the difference is, some people don't have the luxury of choosing when to engage. Ryan doesn't interrupt. And when someone with a platform chooses not to, she continues, it can feel like they're choosing not to stand with those people. There's a weight to that statement. The audience reacts, softer but more emotional. Ryan listens. Really listens this time. And when he responds, his voice is quieter. I understand why it feels that way. Sunny watches him, waiting. But that doesn't mean that's what it is, he adds. That's the line that brings the tension right back. Not louder. Not explosive. Just firm. And unmovable. The audience doesn't clap this time. They just sit there. Because now it's clear, neither of them is going to shift. There's a long pause after that last exchange, and for the first time in the entire segment, nobody rushes to fill it. The audience isn't reacting the way they were before. No clapping, no murmurs, just quiet attention. It's the kind of silence that only happens when people feel like they've just watched something real unfold. Whoopi looks down at the table for a second, then back up, letting out a small breath. All right, I think we've officially gone past a regular interview. A few people in the audience laugh softly, more out of release than humor. Joy nods, half smiling. Yeah, this is definitely not the press tour version of this conversation. Ryan gives a small nod, but he doesn't smile this time. Sunny sits upright, hands folded again, her expression composed but still serious. The energy between them hasn't exploded. It's settled into something colder, more defined. Alyssa tries to gently bring things back. Ryan, I do want to ask, outside of all this, what do you hope people take from the film itself? Ryan turns toward her, grateful for the shift, but still measured. I hope they take whatever they take from it, he says. I don't really believe in telling people what they're supposed to feel. Joy chuckles lightly. Consistent answer. Ryan glances at her. At least I'm consistent. That gets a small laugh from the audience. One of the few lighter moments left. Sunny looks at him again, not interrupting this time, but clearly still engaged. Even if that means people walk away with nothing? Ryan shrugs slightly. Then that's their experience. Sunny nods slowly, almost as if she expected that answer. Okay, there's a subtle shift there, not agreement, but acceptance that the line of questioning has reached its limit. Whoopi steps in again, her tone calm but final. Look, I think what we saw today is what happens when two people have very different views on the same responsibility. She turns to the audience. And that's not a bad thing. A few people clap, not loudly but steadily. Joy adds, yeah, I mean whether you agree with Ryan or Sunny, at least nobody's pretending here. That part, Alyssa says, nodding. Ryan leans back slightly, his posture relaxing just a bit now that the intensity is easing. Sunny also leans back, though she keeps her focus forward. Whoopi looks at Ryan. Before we let you go, anything you want to say to people watching who might be conflicted after hearing all this? Ryan takes a second. I'd just say you don't have to agree with me, he says. And I don't expect you to. But I think it's okay for people to approach things differently. The audience responds with light applause. Sunny listens, then adds, and I'd say, it's also okay to expect more from people you look up to. That gets its own reaction, a mix of claps and thoughtful murmurs. Ryan nods once. That's fair. It's the closest thing to common ground they've had. But even that feels careful. Whoopi smiles slightly, sensing the moment. See, we can land the plane. The audience laughs, this time a little more naturally. Ryan Gosling, everybody, Joy says, gesturing toward him as the audience claps louder now. Ryan gives a polite nod, standing up slightly as the applause continues. Sunny gives a small nod as well, respectful but reserved. As the cameras start to pull back, you can still see the energy at the table. It's calmer but not erased. The kind of moment that doesn't just disappear when the segment ends. And that's exactly what happens. Because within minutes of the show airing that segment live, clips start circulating online. Short clips. Cropped moments. Headlines forming instantly. Ryan Gosling shuts down Sunny Hostin. Awkward exchange on daytime TV goes viral. Did Ryan avoid the question? Did Sunny push too far? Social media splits almost immediately. Some people are praising Ryan for staying calm, calling his responses measured, honest, and unapologetic. Others are criticizing him, saying he dodged accountability and refused to engage. Sunny, on the other hand, is getting just as much attention. Some viewers are applauding her for asking real questions and not backing down. Others are calling her too aggressive or saying she turned an interview into an interrogation. Clips of that one moment, no, start trending. So does "that's my answer." And then the line that really takes off. I don't think I have to justify it. By the time the show finishes airing on the West Coast, it's already a full online debate. Comment sections are flooded. People aren't just talking about the interview. They're arguing about responsibility, celebrity culture, freedom of choice, and expectation. Backstage, things are quieter. Ryan is seen talking briefly with a producer, still calm, still composed. No visible frustration, no dramatic reactions. Just a short conversation, a handshake, and then he heads out. Sunny remains at the table for a moment after the segment, speaking with Whoopi and Joy off mic. There's no visible conflict, just discussion. Professional, but clearly reflective. Later that day, neither Ryan nor Sunny posts anything immediately. No clarifications. No statements. Which only fuels the conversation more. Entertainment outlets pick it up. Clips get analyzed. Body language experts weigh in. You can see the moment Ryan closes off. Sunny leans forward here, signaling pressure. It becomes more than just a segment. It becomes a talking point. And that's the thing about moments like this. They don't end when the cameras stop rolling. They continue in every comment, every repost, every opinion shared after. Because what people watched wasn't just an interview. It was a real disagreement. Unfiltered. Unresolved. And depending on who you ask, completely necessary. Or completely uncomfortable. Or both. And now it turns to you. What do you think? Was Ryan Gosling right to stand his ground and answer the way he did? Or do you think Sunny Hostin was right to push for clearer accountability? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this is one of those conversations where there isn't just one answer. And don't forget to subscribe to Talk Show Fallout for more real talk show stories like this.